I've had a daily gratitude practice since November 2018. Every day I've found at least one thing to appreciate, and I've only missed a handful of days in the last 6.5 years. I want to share with you what I've learned through that process of keeping a daily gratitude journal and how my life has changed in that process. I'm Nicola, and my passion is helping parents and not yet parents release their stuff so they don't pass it on to their kids and repeat the cycle. And I've been exploring ways to break my patterns of pain for over 25 years. When I was in my 20s, I used to see gratitude as kind of a cheesy activity, and also something that was a bit heavy, a kind of obligation in the sense of you should be grateful, or things you should be thankful for, you should appreciate that. And I really just didn't like the feel of it. And so although I did it a bit because I knew it was supposed to be good for you, I was very, very erratic with my practice. Until I got to the 15th of November 2018, when I burned out at work. I was working at a digital marketing agency. I was pouring my heart and soul and a ton of energy into this, and I was just over it. I wanted out of everything and anything in my life. So they sent me home to rest, and I realized that day that something needed to change. I couldn't keep going the way that I was going if I wanted to continue to succeed and be happy in life. And so that's the day I started my gratitude practice. I was previously sporadic, but something was different this time. This time I made that commitment. I said, I'm going to start my gratitude practice and I'm going to stick with it. And so I've done it every day now for 6.5 years. Like I said, I've missed maybe a handful of days in that time, usually because either I was sick and just couldn't even find the energy to do something like that, or because I was super busy and I forgot. And I even found some ways to cheat in my app so that technically I've missed even less than that. But the point is, out of over 2,400 days that have passed since then, I've missed less than 10 of those in that time. And every other day I've found something to appreciate, no matter how big or small. And I want to give you some examples from my gratitude journal so that you can understand the gamut and what is okay to write in your journal. It's not about getting it right or wrong or doing it perfectly. Some of my entries are really lame, but I wanted to share those with you. So some from the early days were things like, I'm very grateful for all the amazing information that's available for free on the internet, or I'm very grateful for the 5 cents I found, or I like our Christmas tree. And sometimes they were super basic, my entries, things like, I had a nice day, I enjoyed working less, I'm glad that I have options. Very generic, very non-specific, and probably not great at bringing up a positive feeling, but I wrote something and I was developing that muscle and that habit. And sometimes I got more detailed, things like, I'm grateful for the confetti on the job application. There was this awesome page that played confetti when you applied for a job. Or I'm really chuffed that I got 20 more mistakes out of my book and I wrote myself instructions on how to make updates in the future. Or I'm grateful that my body knows how to heal and that I know about cold water and lavender. Just appreciating myself and things about my body or things that I've done for myself, going into detail to really activate that positivity. And the more detailed ones really do bring me back to that moment in time and feeling that appreciation. And sometimes even I've written filler ones, basically ticking the box of writing a gratitude statement for that day. And here's an example. I'm glad that I don't really need to make an entry every single day to be a whole human being, giving myself permission to do a less than perfect job, but to at least write something so that I'm developing that habit and I'm actually showing up, even if I don't feel like it. And I just used an app. I have an Android device, so I downloaded an app called Gratitude Self-Care Journal, and it's worked for me for the last 6.5 years. It's got all kinds of bells and whistles that I don't use. I literally go in there and I write down my gratitude statements, and it also pops up with a reminder to make sure that I've done my gratitude statements for the day, and that's it. And it works for me, and that's what's important, is finding what works for you. So what's changed in my experience as a result of this daily gratitude practice that I've kept up for so long? Well, firstly, I'm much more able to see the positives, to see the silver lining in situations. I have more optimism and hope and faith that things will turn out for the best, regardless of the situation. You might even describe me as being a bit Pollyanna-ish. There was a movie many decades ago about a girl called Pollyanna who was just positive about everything, no matter what happened. And it came to represent this idea of being overly positive. But I don't necessarily think that's such a bad thing. It's actually really hard to be anxious or fearful at the same time as you are feeling positive or hopeful or optimistic. So by doing a gratitude practice, we're giving ourselves a break from all that negativity. The next thing that's happened is that I'm much more aware of my words and my perspective. So I'm conscious of when I complain about things. I may still do it, but I'm acutely aware that that's what I'm doing. And I'm much more intentional about how I speak and how I choose to see things. And I will actively reframe situations to be more positive, to find the positivity in situations, because I know that when I see things negatively, that's harder to find appreciation. And so it's really changed the way that I speak and the way that I see things. And of course, my well-being is significantly improved. I'm so much happier, so much less stressed. And there's research that shows that having a gratitude practice does actually change the way that our brain produces and uses the happy hormones of serotonin and dopamine. Our brain just makes them differently, and we get to have more happiness in our lives. And not only has my inner world improved significantly, but my outer world is so much better in remarkable ways as far as I'm concerned. My work situation is significantly improved, my income and my finances are better, my friends and my relationships are improved, much better than they used to be. Things just seem to be working out so much better than they ever did, and I experience peace on a much more regular basis. And if I look back now to where I was 10 years ago, I have come so far from where I was in terms of my daily experience, in terms of how my life is. So much has changed, and I attribute so much of that to my gratitude practice. I don't believe I would be where I am today without my gratitude practice. And I wish I could go back and tell my younger self, my younger cynical self, to start this gratitude practice, to start sooner, to actually take it seriously and get going with it, because there's just so much more in my life to appreciate. And I encourage you to start a gratitude practice if you haven't already, because it's totally worth the effort. And you might be amazed at what you discover when you do start practicing gratitude daily and how your life changes as a result of that. And I've got a guide with over 60 gratitude prompts to help you get over that initial hump of, well, what the heck do I even write? And I've even got a whole video where I go step by step through how to create a gratitude practice with a ton of tips to maximize your chances of success. And you might want to watch that next. And I'll see you in the next one.